Welcome to the Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff, and it is officially game week for the Miami Dolphins. They kick off their 2024 campaign, hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars this upcoming Sunday. And on today's episode, we're going to talk through the latest rumors and injury news surrounding the Fins before the official injury report comes out tomorrow, which we will have on the channel, which is why you need to be subscribed, because we are going to have daily coverage of the Miami Dolphins. The goal is to get the 59K subs before we kick off on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Hit that sub button. We're in striking distance. I think we can get there, but we're also going to be live for every single game for the Dolphins this season, so why would you want to be subscribed? All right, we'll start with Odell Beckham Jr. Is he MIA? Is he missing? Because Dolphins, Twitter, social media, whatever you want to say, were set ablaze by Tyreek Hill yesterday, who was talking to media members and said, I haven't seen OBJ in about a week. What? Now, Tyreek Hill likes to have some fun with the media, so I'm not going to overreact completely. I do hope it's all jokes, because Odell Beckham Jr. has been well documented as someone who has not really been with the Miami Dolphins, right? They signed him about a week after the NFL draft, thought it was an excellent move to get him as your third wide receiver in this depth chart next to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. But he just hasn't been with the team much because he's on the PUP list. He didn't participate in mandatory minicamp or OTAs or any training camp games, obviously, because you're not allowed to do that with being on the PUP list. And now he will miss the first 4 games of the season against Tennessee, Seattle, Jacksonville, Buffalo due to being on the PUP list. So he's eligible to make his return in Miami in that Week 5 game against the Patriots. Now, it could be likely that they hold him out for that game as well, because they probably won't need him, 1. And 2, they have a bye in Week 6, so they can really just bring him back after that bye. Same could be said for Bradley Chubb, but we're focusing on OBJ here because I think he is going to be very good on this team when he eventually does play. I know a lot of Dolphins fans are concerned he could be the next Will Fuller. You get excited about him, you signed him in free agency, but he never plays. I still do believe he's going to be a key piece for Miami because when you have OBJ, who by the way was second in receiving yards for the Baltimore Ravens last season behind Zay Flowers in a non-pass heavy offense, pairing up with Waddle and Hill, it is going to create fireworks and make this Dolphins offense so much more difficult to defend. And even though he is yet to practice and he will not be making his debut in the month of September for Miami, he is already making an impact for this Dolphins football team. Tyreek Hill said this year is the year that guys are hanging out outside of team facilities, outside of practice, outside of work. That is the one thing I can say OBJ has brought. That is coming from Tyreek Hill. So even though he is yet to play and will not play on the field for Miami for at least the first month of the season, he is bringing a good veteran presence to this group. And there has been multiple Dolphins players to come out and say that this is the best Dolphins team they've had since they've joined, which is likely the last 2 or 3 years with Mike McDaniel. It's also the most close-knit team they've had. And it's just spectacular to hear these things be said before the season gets underway because you start to get a feeling that this team could really have something special brewing down in the 305. And it feels like OBJ has at least had a hand in that part, at least bringing the group together and creating good team chemistry. So I believe even though OBJ will be out for a while, I don't think he's missing. He's going to be back in this team. He's bringing the people together, and it's going to be a lot of fun when he actually steps foot on the field alongside Hill, Waddle, and Tua. But you predict it for me. When will OBJ make his Dolphins debut? First chance he'll have is Week 5 against New England. I think it's actually more likely it's Week 7 against the Indianapolis Colts due to having a bye week in Week 6, and you probably don't need him to beat New England. So why not just hold him out an extra 2 weeks and make sure he's really healthy and really has the chemistry down with Tua and the crew? All right, let's move over to some positive injury news for the Miami Dolphins when they needed that pretty desperately. We'll start on the offensive line. Aaron Brewer, who you signed from the Tennessee Titans in NFL free agency to be your Connor Williams replacement, he has been dealing with a hand injury over the past 3 weeks, and his status for Week 1 is uncertain and up in the air. Mike McDaniel has failed to comment and really provide a legit diagnosis for Brewer in the preseason, but it seems like he will be ready to go. In the first unofficial depth chart that the Dolphins released, he was at the starting center position with Liam Eichenberg at right guard. But he also returned to practice on Monday, which just shows you it's more likely than not he will be playing week 1 against Jacksonville, which is absolutely massive, by the way, because if you had to roll out a starting offensive line group of, let's say, Teron Armstead left tackle, Robert Jones left guard, Liam Eichenberg center, Lester Cotton right guard, with right tackle Austin Jackson, that's cool. Not very good, but you're going to see a much more improved and steady offensive line when you still have those bookend tackles, but your interior has Jones on the left guard, Brewer at center, and Liam Eichenberg at right guard. It's going to make for a much more stronger offensive line for the Dolphins with Aaron Brewer potentially being back. Another player who returned to practice, Anthony Walker Jr., the linebacker who signed from Cleveland during free agency. He has been out of the mix for the past couple weeks or so, but I believe he is going to be a key member of this team, and he returned to practice on Monday as well. He is a really good pass coverage linebacker, and he will be a really good complementary piece alongside Jordan Brooks, who's more of your downhill thumping linebacker. David Long Jr., who's your captain, who's of the defense, and also captain on the football team, being your number 1 do-it-all guy, and then you can mix in Walker Jr. and Brooks on obvious running situations and passing situations. Him being back into the fold just adds more of a dynamic crew that you have at that linebacker position. Good to see AWJ back on the field for the Fins. More to come on Jaylen Waddle and Jalen Ramsey, but we are sponsored by Game Time. And with the NFL season officially here, if you want to go to any of the games and get your tickets, make sure you are using Game Time. They have a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. It filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. You can toggle the all-in pricing feature, which allows you to see the total number up front with no surprise fees at checkout. I use Game Time every time I get tickets. I was actually just in Las Vegas this past weekend for week 1 of the college football season. I went to go see LSU USC. Want to know how I got my tickets? You might have guessed, it was Game Time. And they allowed me to see exactly where I was sitting, the exact vantage point, so I could choose what I wanted to do. And you can get $20 off your first purchase when you use code CHATSPORTS after creating an account. Download the Game Time app, create that account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create that account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It is game time. All right, another Dolphins player returned to practice. Benito Jones, the defensive lineman and likely starting nose tackle for this team. It was unclear if he was going to be able to be ready for week 1 against the Jaguars. I believe he will be, because we might have had to see Calais Campbell and Zach Sealer play some of that 1 tech position, as they are more normally 3 techs. But Benito is going to be back, and when they need to have someone stuff that run and take care of the offensive lineman on the interior and maybe potentially draw 2 blocking assignments to him to allow linebackers to crash through the hole and stop the run, that's what Benito will bring to the table. And I am very excited to see this Dolphins D-line in action. I know Christian Wilkins was a big loss, but getting Calais Campbell, Benito Jones, Zach Sealer taking a larger role after he was phenomenal last year and had 10-plus sacks. This Dolphins defensive line is going to be much better than people think. Will it be as good as last year? Not so sure, but I don't think it's going to drop off that massive number that people thought it would. All right, more positive news. Jaylen Waddle, the wide receiver 2 for Miami, no longer wearing that non-contact red jersey at practice. He's been dealing with a let's say tissue injury in the beginning here at training camp, and it is very, very good to see number 17 out of that jersey, which will mean he is going to be fine for week 1. There was really never any doubt, in my opinion, that he was going to miss the first game of the season, but it's just newsworthy to at least let you guys know that there really is no concern on Jaylen Waddle, because he is out of the red practice jersey and going to be ready to go for week 1. How about Jalen Ramsey, though? Because this is a little bit concerning if you ask me. Out of every single player on the practice squad, on the Dolphins' 53-man roster, when you look at Monday's practice, Jalen Ramsey was the only person that did not participate. So there might be a concern that he would miss week 1. But head coach Mike McDaniel kind of put a blanket on that fire, if you will. He said that he wasn't concerned about Jalen Ramsey potentially missing week 1 against Jacksonville, which is music to my ears because even though I think Miami is the significantly better team than Jacksonville, they do have a pretty solid wide receiver core. Yes, they lost Calvin Ridley, but they also drafted LSU wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. in the first round, who I'm quite high on. They signed Gabe Davis from Buffalo, who's not that good, but they still have those two alongside Christian Kirk as a pretty solid 3 wide receiver core. And if you're without Jalen Ramsey, your depth would be tested quite early. I like the backups in Miami with Saran Neal, Ethan Bonner, Storm Duck, the UDFA, but you're not going to put Kader Kohu on the outside. So if you're 2 starting boundary corners were only Kendall Fuller and one of those 3 I just mentioned in Saran Neal, Bonner, or Storm Duck, that would give me a concern. So let's hope Jalen Ramsey is going to be good to go for this game on Sunday. We'll find out more tomorrow on Wednesday when the Dolphins release their first injury report of the season. Hopefully he is not going to be on there. It's likely that he will be, though, but hopefully he's just listed as questionable. All right, this game is a big one for Miami. They need to start off the season strong on Sunday against Jacksonville. What is your confidence level in the Dolphins picking up a win this week? Scale at 1 to 10 for me. Give me no rookie scores. I want decimals included. The only non-decimal I want to see is a 10 potentially, but give me a 7.5, a 7.7. Personally, I'm an 8.7. And make sure you do join us this upcoming Sunday for a Dolphins-Jaguars Week 1 watch party. We're going to be live with the game, breaking it down, commentary analysis, taking down drinks. It will be the best place to watch the game if you're not actually in South Beach watching it. So make sure you hit that sub button and join us this upcoming Sunday for a big-time game.